When millionaire chefs discovered the poor dishwasher's hidden talent, lives changed forever. The city of Chicago pulsed with life as glimmering skyscrapers loomed overhead. In the heart of this vibrant chaos, Alex sloshed through suds and sudsy water, his hands submerged in the rinse cycle. Day after day, he scrubbed and cleaned at a high-end restaurant, his dreams swirling like steam rising from the dish dryer. Raised by his grandmother, Alex learned early on that the power of food ran deeper than flavor. It was about compassion, community, and lifting those around him. Still, night after night, the weight of poverty pressed heavily on his shoulders. But he pushed through, helping neighbors with groceries, offering a warm meal, or sharing a comforting word. His kindness was his currency, yet he longed for more, a world where his culinary passion could flourish. One fateful evening, excitement crackled in the air like static before a storm. The restaurant buzzed with a peculiar energy, and word spread like wildfire. A prestigious culinary competition was set to unfold right under Alex's nose. Millionaire chefs renowned for their culinary genius swarmed the place. Eavesdropping on their lively conversations ignited a flame in his heart. Talk of flavors, scents, and artistic techniques sent his mind spinning back to memories in his grandmother's kitchen, the sounds of sizzling pans and the aromas that danced in the air, full of love and memories. Suddenly, a wild impulse overtook him, and he whispered a recipe inspired by those cherished moments. To his sheer disbelief, the chefs paused, their attention fixated on him. Lips parted in surprise, they exchanged glances as the weight of his words sunk in. They felt it, the heart behind his humble offering. "You've got something special," one chef finally said, inviting him to showcase his skills on the national stage. Alex's pulse quickened. Could he, a simple dishwasher, truly stand among the titans of the culinary world? Whispers erupted, igniting conversations among friends and family. Cheers of encouragement filled the air, but beneath the exhilaration lay doubts. Would success change him? Would he leave his roots behind? Alex wrestled with that notion. Would he transform into someone unrecognizable, abandoning the very community that shaped him? The night of the competition arrived, and Alex felt like a tightrope walker, balancing hope and fear. As he stood backstage, every heartbeat echoed like thunder in his chest. The anticipation of the crowd weighed heavy on him. Millionaire chefs cast furtive glances in his direction, their initial skepticism now mingling with curiosity. This wasn't just his chance, it was a beacon of hope for all those like him who'd been dismissed by a world of wealth and privilege. With his dish in hand, Alex took a deep breath and stepped into the spotlight. The faces in the audience felt like a sea, undulating with expectation. His heart raced faster than ever. This dish wasn't only a meal, it carried his legacy, his dreams, and the spirit of his grandmother. But just as he opened his mouth to share his story, he locked eyes with an old friend from his neighborhood, someone who seemed to question if this was the real Alex or just a facade. Could he navigate the paradox of his dreams succeeding without losing himself? Alex stood, suspended in a moment that felt like eternity. The answer loomed before him like the towering skyline outside, blinking and beautiful, yet uncertain. Would he rise, or would he become lost between two worlds? Alex swallowed hard, the weight of that gaze pulling him back into his past. It felt like every moment spent washing dishes had led him to this very point. He glanced down at the plate in his hands, the vibrant colors of his dish shining under the stage lights in homage to his grandmother's garden, filled with fresh herbs and vegetables. He opened his mouth to speak, but doubt clouded his thoughts. "Hey, Alex." The voice of his old friend cut through the noise like a knife. "Is this really who you are now?" The challenge was clear, and it reverberated within him like a bell. Resting atop disbelief and expectation, it clawed at his insides. "Every dish tells a story," he finally managed to say, fighting to keep his voice steady. "This one speaks for my roots." As he began to describe how the dish was inspired by childhood memories, how he once watched his grandmother create magic from simple ingredients, the tension in the room shifted. The audience leaned in, absorbed in his narrative. It wasn't just about food, it was about resilience, love, and connection. He glanced at the chefs, their expressions a mix of intrigue and surprise. One of them, the renowned chef who had invited him, nodded slowly, a spark of appreciation lighting up his face. But the uncertainty still flickered within Alex. These rich and famous chefs were everything he thought he could never be, and yet here he was, sharing his heart. Would they see the value in his story, or was his background too far removed to be appreciated? He took another breath, feeling the life he had fought so hard to carve out slipping away if he backed down. I know I'm just a dishwasher, but this is not just a dish to me. It's my history, it's my future. As the words spilled out, the audience erupted into applause. Their approval, and the pride on his friend's face, pushed him further, igniting something deep within. The chaos of the kitchen vanished as he immersed himself in the moment, each note of excitement and anticipation swelling like a tide. His hands moved confidently as he plated his dish, the colors blending harmoniously. The smell alone was intoxicating, transporting him back to simpler times when the world felt less complicated. But as he placed the dish before the head chef, a sudden flutter of anxiety struck him again. What if the flavors didn't translate? What if the chefs viewed him as an imposter? Yet, there was no turning back now. He stood tall, his heart pounding, as the first bite was taken. Time seemed to stretch as the head chef chewed slowly, his eyes widening. Alex held his breath, anxiously scanning the faces in the audience. Would they recognize him for who he truly was? In that instant, he felt a surge of empowerment, a surge that blended the fear he had known with dreams far too big to ignore. And then a smile broke on the chef's face, one that didn't just signal approval. It was a recognition of a fellow human sharing their deepest selves through the art of food. And just like that, Alex knew he was not just there to prove himself to others, but to honor those who walked alongside him to reach this moment. But would that pat on the back guarantee a brighter future, or would he still struggle against the shadows of his past? In the back of his mind, a new thought emerged. Was he ready to accept the changes coming his way? Just then, the head chef beckoned him forward, and Alex could feel the weight of the moment pressing down hard. Would this be a life-changing night, or a beautiful memory that slipped away? The moment felt electric, every eye in the room now on him, the once muffled whispers now rising to a crescendo. As Alex stepped forward, doubt still gnawed at him, but he pushed it aside. This was his time to shine, to embrace all he had worked for. Alex, the head chef said, his voice steady but warm, your dish exceeded my expectations. You have a true talent here. Those words flared like fireworks inside Alex's chest, driven by years of hard work and hidden hope. But beneath the surface, a new wave of anxiety crashed in what would happen next. The chef continued, I'd like to invite you to join my kitchen for an internship. Learn the ropes, develop your craft. What do you think? His heart stopped for just a moment, a mixture of disbelief and elation coursing through him. The prospect of stepping into that kitchen, where skills were honed by the best, felt surreal. But could he really do it? Yes, I do love that. Alex responded, his voice shaky but genuine. The rush of excitement was overwhelming, like climbing a roller coaster and about to plummet down. He could feel tears prickling at his eyes, transforming into a brighter horizon. Then he thought of his grandmother, her warmth filling their small kitchen, encouraging him to follow his dreams. This was more than just an opportunity, it was the bridge connecting his past to a future he had only dared to dream about. Yet, as the applause washed over him again, doubts still lingered. Could one internship change everything? What if he failed? Yes, just a dishwasher, echoed a voice from the crowd. Alex recognized it, his old friend, seemingly shocked. The tone was incredulous, not supportive. With that, Alex felt a spark of defiance igniting within him. He had come this far and wouldn't let anyone diminish his achievements. Wrong, he shouted back, surprising himself. I'm more than that. The words hung in the air tightly, their weight resonating around the room. Silence fell momentarily before applause erupted, this time louder, surging with familiarity and grit. Alex felt a sense of urgency, The need to solidify his transformation not just for himself, but for everyone who had doubted him. After the event, with the excitement still buzzing, he stepped outside into the cool night air. The street was alive, but everything was different now. There was something more in the warm glow of the neon lights, something that beckoned adventure. As he walked, the realization hit him like a ton of bricks. He was no longer just that dishwasher. He was an aspiring chef, full of dreams, raw talent, and a desire to prove himself. Each step felt lighter, as if the burdens of his past were slipping away. Suddenly, he remembered the friend who had challenged him. What would he think now? Did he expect him to fail? Could he change opinions, starting with the people who had once crushed his spirit? He reached for his phone, his fingers hovering over the screen. Should he text his old friend? It'd be a bold move, but a needed one. Maybe this was another way to showcase his growth, to show he refused to be defined by what had come before. As he typed, doubts clawed at him again. Would he invite further judgment? Or would this be a step toward reconciliation? Somewhere between hesitation and hope, he pressed send. In that moment, he felt utterly alive, caught in a whirlwind of possibility. But in a world of open doors, he wondered, would he have the strength to walk through them all? The air felt charged with possibility. Each step Alex took was a leap into the unknown, a risk he hadn't anticipated but now craved. As he walked along the familiar streets, the city took on new colors and contours. The coffee shop where he used to sneak in when he needed inspiration now beckoned him like an old friend. He had a few days before the internship began, and those days felt both like a luxury and a ticking clock. He wanted to celebrate, to dive into the excitement of this new chapter, but deep inside, uncertainty lingered. What would the chefs think of him? Could he keep up? The evening sky turned from blue to deep purple, and the lights from shops began twinkling. Everything felt alive. Alex couldn't shake the feeling that the world was changing around him. He spotted a patisserie he loved, the aroma of fresh pastries swirling into the night air. On impulse, he stepped inside, the warm atmosphere wrapped around him, bringing a sense of belonging that made him more comfortable. The owner, a kind older woman, recognized him instantly. "Back for more of my almond croissants?" she asked, a knowing smile on her face. "Always," Alex replied, his heart lightening. As he bit into the flaky pastry, memories flooded back: his grandmother teaching him recipes and techniques, the laughter shared over meals. His hands had learned to create through love, but was it truly enough now? "Hey, you okay?" the woman asked, her voice gentle. Alex met her gaze. "I just got offered an internship in a kitchen. I'm excited but also scared." I remember that feeling." She leaned on the counter, her eyes shimmering with wisdom. "You have to let go of the doubts, Alex. What you have inside, no one can take away. Your passion is your secret ingredient." Nodding, he took another bite, cherishing the warmth spreading through him. She was right. He couldn't forget what made him love cooking in the first place. Passion could challenge any doubts. In that moment, he made a promise to himself. This internship would be about more than proving others wrong. It was time to explore who he really was as a chef. He remembered a line from his grandmother: "Cook with love, and the possibilities are endless." With renewed determination, he finished his pastry and left the patisserie, feeling lighter. He wanted to soak in every experience, every new lesson. Each day was now a canvas, waiting to be painted with his growth and creativity. He arrived home, buzzed with thoughts of the kitchen he'd soon call his second home. With his phone still in hand, he scrolled through social media and stopped at an image of his old friend's sarcastic post about him. It struck a nerve. A part of him wanted to lash out, to demonstrate his growth in a public way. But he hesitated. Maybe this wasn't about competing anymore. Maybe it was in letting go of grudges that he defined freedom. Taking a deep breath, he opened the messaging app instead and found a group chat filled with past friends, the ones who knew him before he stepped into his chef's jacket. It was time to share this journey with them, to invite them along, not for validation, but so they could see who he was becoming. His fingers flew over the screen as he typed a simple message: "I'm starting an internship in a kitchen. If you'd like to join me for dinner, I'd love to cook for you." As he pressed send, exhilaration mixed with a hint of fear. What if they showed up? What if they didn't believe in him? What would it mean to open his doors, not just to his past, but potentially to acceptance? With a deep breath, he let the hope settle in. This was just another step, but a significant one. Tomorrow, he would step into the kitchen of dreams and possibilities, but for now, he would wait and see who would take the leap of faith right alongside him. What awaited him at the kitchen would be more than food, it was a feast of new beginnings. The sun rose high the next morning, casting a golden hue over the city. Alex took a moment to relish the quiet stillness of his apartment before the world stirred to life. He could feel excitement bubbling inside him, pushed forward by an undercurrent of nerves. Today was the day everything changed. With a glance at the clock, he grabbed a quick breakfast and made his way out the door, his heart racing as he approached the kitchen where his internship would take place. It was a place of dreams, and yet the fear of the unknown still tightened in his stomach. Would he fit in? Would they understand him, appreciate his passion? As he entered the sprawling space, the energy enveloped him. The hustle and bustle, the clattering of pots and pans, the smell of fresh herbs and spices, all felt surreal. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment. "Hey, you must be the new intern." A voice rang out. Alex turned to see a chef with a stern expression but warm eyes. "I'm Chef Marco. Welcome to the team. You ready to work?" Nodding enthusiastically, he followed Marco as he laid out the day's tasks. The chefs moved with precision and confidence, and Alex felt a flutter in his chest, an urge to rise to their level. What if he didn't measure up? The first few hours were a whirlwind. Chopping vegetables, measuring ingredients, washing dishes, Alex soaked in every detail. The rhythm of the kitchen was intoxicating. Laughter erupted from the line cooks as they recounted stories, and he found himself smiling despite his anxiety. But then, during a quiet moment, Chef Marco called for silence. "We've got a big dinner event coming up," he announced. "I need everyone to bring their best. Any new ideas?" Alex felt a spark ignite within him. Here was the moment when he could step forward. Memories of cooking with his grandmother flooded back her, encouraging him to unleash his creativity. Swallowing his nerves, he raised his hand. "I have an idea for a dish." The room fell silent, all eyes on him. His heart raced. "What if we blend traditional techniques with modern flavors? I envision using fresh, unexpected ingredients to enhance classic recipes." A few heads turned, intrigued. Marco's eyebrows arched. "Go on." Building on his idea, he described a fusion dish that showcased seasonal vegetables paired with unique sauces. As he spoke, the energy shifted. The chefs nodded, a few scribbling notes. He could feel a wave of acceptance washing over him. This was his chance to show them who he really was. Marco's expression softened. "All right, Alex. Let us see what you can do. You'll help with prep for tonight's dinner." After gathering the necessary ingredients, Alex was all in. The kitchen buzzed around him, but he felt focused in his element. He chopped, sautéed, tasted. Each movement felt like a dance, and his doubts began to dissipate like steam from a simmering pot. Hours passed, and as the event drew closer, the kitchen transformed into a cauldron of excitement. Guests were arriving, and the tension was palpable. Alex set his dish in place, stepping back to admire it. It was beautiful, colorful, and full of life. Just as he took a deep breath, someone tapped his shoulder. It was Chef Marco. "You did good work today. You're making your mark here. But are you ready for the unexpected?" "Unexpected?" Alex inquired, a knot forming in his stomach. "Let us just say competition can get fierce," Marco replied, a knowing look in his eyes. "Stay on your toes. You never know what's coming next." The evening unfolded in a flurry of laughter, delightful aromas, and the clinking of glasses. As people praised the food, Alex felt a swell of pride. Maybe he belonged here after all. But amidst the celebration was another truth gnawing at him. What if they didn't like his dish? What if he was just a flash in the pan? With his mind racing, he caught sight of a face in the crowd, a familiar one that sent chills up his spine. It was someone from his past, someone who knew the struggles he'd faced. Would they see him differently now? Would they understand the journey that brought him here? With Anticipation and uncertainty flowing through him, he took a step toward the unknown, ready for whatever revelations awaited. Would this moment open doors he'd never imagined? Only time would tell. The dining room buzzed with energy. Laughter and chatter filled the air, but Alex felt a whirlwind of emotions churning inside of him. His heart raced as he took cautious steps, trying to blend into the ambience while grappling with that familiar, prickling sensation of being seen and not just as the intern. His focus shifted back to the familiar face through the throng of guests. The person who had entered his past with a brutal, sudden force. Max. The weight of recognition was suffocating. Max had been the best friend he'd lost touch with, the one who knew him when dream chasing felt almost impossible. Seeing him now, in this refined space, stirred a mix of fear and longing. What would Max think of him? The dishwasher turned apprentice chef, who was now bravely battling through the kitchen's haze. Taking a deep breath, Alex approached Max, who was animatedly talking to a couple, a wide smile across his face. As he got closer, Max turned, and their eyes locked. For a heartbeat, everything around them faded. Alex? Max's voice was surprised, almost breathless. What are you doing here? I'm interning here. I helped with the dinner, Alex stumbled, words escaping before he fully processed them. Max's eyes widened in a mix of disbelief and admiration. Seriously? That's amazing. Look at you, man. The affirmation washed over Alex, and he felt his chest swell with pride. Thanks. It's been a really wild ride. I didn't expect to be here, honestly. But today's a big deal for me. And it shows. Everyone's raving about the food. Max gestured to the other guests who were enjoying the evening, taunting them with the success Alex nearly dared to claim as his own. I've seen you grow, you know. All those late-night cook-offs we had back in the day? An undeniable warmth flooded through Alex. Those memories of joy, laughter, and messy kitchens were now a beacon lighting his path. Yeah, I still think about those times, he chuckled, feeling a sense of closeness return. I guess all that practice paid off. Max leaned in closer, a mischievous glint in his eye. You've got to show me what you made. I'm dying to see what the fuss is all about. Before Alex could reply, the atmosphere shifted. Chef Marco stepped into the scene, his presence commanding attention. Everyone, may I have your attention? He called out, his voice booming above the crowd. I want to introduce you to someone special, our brilliant new intern, Alex. He created one of tonight's star dishes. The applause that erupted was unexpected. Alex felt his cheeks heat up, swells of encouragement from both the chefs and the guests washing over him. But the spotlight was a double-edged sword. What if he stumbled now? His heart thudded in his chest as he faced the crowd. Taking a deep breath, he stepped closer to the front, uncertainty mixing with a sense of belonging. Marco gestured, and the room quieted down. Alex, tell everyone about your creation. In that moment, with the weight of anticipation pressing on him, Alex glanced back at Max. He needed to weave his story together, the journey, the struggles that had brought him here, and everything buried under the layers of self-doubt. He opened his mouth, ready to spill his heart. But just as he began to speak, a piercing voice echoed through the room. What does a poor dishwasher know about fine dining? The laughter that followed felt like ice cutting through Alex's warm moment. The laughter stung, but he held steady. Who is this person tonight of all nights to rain on his parade? The room shifted again, and his heart thundered. Could he rise above this? Was this just the beginning of what was to come, and could he stand strong against it? The air crackled with tension as he took a step forward, his determination ignited. It was time to defend his space, his culinary dreams. He wasn't going to back down. As he prepared to respond, he felt the whispers of doubt teasing him, but this time, he was not the same scared intern. The truth was that he had a voice, and it was ready to be heard. What came next would define not only this moment, but potentially change everything. Would he reflect his persistence and courage? Only time would tell, as both anxiety and resolve danced inside him. The tension in the room wrapped around him like a thick fog. Alex stood at the front, feeling the spotlight digging into his skin, every eye on him, each expectant gaze heightening the pressure. He could hear that laugh echoing in his ears, the sneering words clearly intended to belittle him. It didn't matter that he had poured hours of heart into his cooking. In that moment, all he could feel was the cold sting of doubt creeping back. "Hey, everyone starts somewhere," Alex finally managed to say, his voice rising slightly above the murmur in the room. He could see Max at the edge of the crowd, nodding encouragingly, but it barely registered. The jeer had thrown him off balance. He took a moment to gather himself, clenching his fists at his sides to ground his voice and bring it back with strength. "I may have started as a dishwasher, but I've learned from the best. And I've worked hard to prepare for tonight." The laughter faded, replaced by murmurs of surprise. People leaned in, curious to hear what he would say next. Alex felt a spark ignite inside him, the fire of determination pushing away the cold doubt. "My dish tonight isn't just food to fill a plate," he continued, his voice gaining steadiness. "It's a piece of my journey. I wanted to showcase the flavors that inspired me growing up, the way cooking felt like magic in my family's kitchen. It was where I learned everything." He paused, capturing the growing attention. His heart raced, but that thrill began to feel more like excitement than fear. "Tonight, I made a saffron-infused risotto, inspired by my grandmother's traditional recipes. Every bite, I hope, tells a story. A story of resilience, of hope, and of dreams that refuse to die. Because here I am." The atmosphere shifted. What started as condescension transformed into intrigue, a collective intake of breath. Alex saw faces in the crowd softening, and it felt like he was finally breaking through. Even Chef Marco wore a proud smile. "I want to show everyone that with dedication and love, even a dishwasher can create something memorable." As he finished, the applause erupted once more, but this time, it was fueled by genuine appreciation. The applause surged like a wave, lifting his spirit. He scanned the crowd, catching Max's eye, who beamed with pride. But before Alex could let himself feel triumphant, the jeering voice chimed in again, a sharp blade through the warmth. "Nice speech, but can you actually handle the pressure of the kitchen? You might just end up back where you started." A ripple of unease washed over him, but much stronger was the fire that ignited within Alex at that challenge. Instead of withering, he straightened up, feeling the weight of his journey crashing down not as a burden, but as a mantle. "I will rise to every challenge," he declared, his voice ringing out, a promise more than a statement. "I won't let anyone define who I can be. I'm here to carve my path, not to be a footnote." Silence hung in the air for a moment, stunned, then applause broke out again. Laughter faded and respect thrummed in the atmosphere. The celebration was back where it belonged, focused on creativity and resilience. In that moment, Alex felt not just the acceptance he yearned for, but the confidence that surged from embracing who he was. Yet just as Alex began to bask in that victorious warmth, the door swung open, and in stepped a figure that made his stomach twist, his former mentor, Adrian, the chef who had once dismissed him. As their eyes locked, an uneasy feeling washed over him. Adrian's presence was a storm cloud at this sunny moment. "Let us see if you can keep that fire lit," Adrian sneered, eyes glimmering with challenge. Had this battle only begun? Would Alex be able to prove his worth to Adrian and to himself? Those questions spiraled in his mind as the crowd buzzed with excitement, completely unaware of the storm brewing just behind him. The crowd's excitement buzzed like a live wire, but all Alex could focus on was Adrian's piercing gaze. He felt his heart race, mirroring the tension. It was as if Adrian had just summoned every doubt Alex harbored about his skills right into the open. That smug smile threatened to sweep away the confidence he had just built. "Adrian," Alex managed to greet, forcing the word out while feeling his throat tighten. Even the name tasted stale, buried beneath a mix of resentment and unease. "I didn't expect to see you here." "You're full of surprises," Adrian replied, nodding towards the crowd. "But remember, it's not about making a speech. It's about delivering when it counts." Alex clenched his jaw. He knew Adrian was right, yet he could almost taste the condescension in his tone. A knot of determination built in his stomach. "I plan on proving that tonight." "Good. Let us see if you can stand the heat," Adrian shot back, a wicked grin plastered across his face. The tension wrapped tighter around Alex, but he refused to back down. All eyes were on him, curiosity leading the charge. The applause still echoed around the room, but his thoughts became a swirling storm. How could he transform that energy into something powerful? Battle-tested, he took a deep breath, recalling his grandmother's voice in his mind, encouraging him to nurture his dreams and savor every moment in the kitchen. "Tonight is just the beginning," Alex called out, trying to recapture the crowd's attention. "I've faced challenges before, but each one made me stronger." He glanced back at Adrian, now stationed against the wall like a judging sentinel watching every move. "And this isn't just about cooking. It's about passion and persistence. They shaped me into the person I am today." The crowd murmured thoughtfully, a shift occurring in their expressions. Alex felt that small ember within him fanning into a flame. He glanced at Max, who wore an encouraging smile, as if to say, "You've got this." "Tonight, before we dive into the final dish, I want to share why I created this risotto. My grandmother often told me stories through her cooking, how flavors danced together, how love was folded into every bite. That's what I want to bring to you." The room quieted as his words permeated the air. Alex poured everything into that moment. He spoke of family gatherings, of laughter echoing through the kitchen, and the first time he realized that cooking was not just a task, but a way to connect with people. Adrian rolled his eyes, but Alex could sense that he was losing some of the crowd's support. Their hearts were opening, drawn into the warmth of his memories. And then, with a final surge of confidence, he added, "Tonight, I will fuse my past with my future, and I'm ready for whatever challenges lie ahead, especially yours, Adrian." The applause burst forth yet again, louder than before. In that moment, Alex embraced the energy. He felt it wrap around him, each clap pushing away his fears. Adrian's sneer faltered, quickly turning to a look of simmering discontent. As he prepared to start the cooking demonstration, a surge of adrenaline hit him. This was it, no more second-guessing or hesitating. In front of him were the millionaires and legends of the culinary world, but more importantly, they were individuals who could recognize the truth of hard work and love. But just as he began to execute his plans, vibrating with purpose, Adrian stepped closer, a sharp edge in his voice. "Let's see if all your talk translates to the plate, Alex. One miss, and nobody will remember those stories you told. Or they might remember a different story." Alex shot back, heart racing. "One about standing strong against someone who tries to hold you back." Adrian's eyes narrowed, and the crowd held its breath, tension snapping fiercely between them. This was about more than just a dish now. It was a fight for credibility, for identity. Would Alex's risotto reflect his journey? Or would it become just another moment lost to Adrian's underestimation? The uncertainty loomed over him like a shadow as he gathered his tools, ready to confront both the kitchen and the doubts that had lingered from his past. Would he succeed, or would this challenge prove too great? The kitchen buzzed with urgency as Alex set to work. The scent of fresh herbs hit him, a wave of comforting familiarity amidst the chatter of the crowd. He pulled out his ingredients, arranging them methodically on the counter while trying to squash the anxiety gnawing at his insides. Every chop of the onion seemed to echo against the backdrop of Adrian's taunts still clinging in the air. He glided through the steps, adding a splash of olive oil into the pan and watching it shimmer. The heat was rising not just from the stove, but from the palpable tension filling the room. Alex grabbed the wooden spoon, stirring the mixture with determination, allowing the flavors to meld as he focused on his grandmother's teachings. "Remember, Alex, cooking is about heart," she would say, her hands gracefully maneuvering through the spices like she was conducting a symphony. He could almost hear her laughter mingling with the sizzling of the ingredients, every memory lending him strength. "Is that supposed to impress us?" Adrian sneered again, his voice slicing through Alex's focus. "Where's the flair? Where's the excitement?" Ignoring him, Alex continued. He took a moment to appreciate what lay in front of him. The vibrant colors of the vegetables, the floral scent from the basil. Humanity surged within those simple ingredients, a celebration waiting to emerge. "Nothing sets apart a good dish from a great one like passion," he called out, hoping to drown out Adrian's negativity. The crowd, sensing his conviction, leaned in slightly, their curiosity igniting like a flame. He added the rice, each grain a commitment to the vision he had fought for time after time. As he ladled in the rich broth, stirring carefully, he recalled a moment from his childhood, the first risotto he had tasted, perfectly creamy and infused with love. A warm nostalgia washed over him, and suddenly the kitchen felt less intimidating. It was his sanctuary, a place where the outside world faded away. But Adrian's disdain lingered, his skeptical gaze demanding proof. Alex could sense him hovering, ready to pounce at any sign of weakness. "Watch closely, everyone," he announced, a slight tremor of nerves still skimming his voice, but muffled by undercurrents of determination. "This is about more than just the food. It's about resilience." Alex mixed in the cheese, letting it melt and enrich the dish, while brightening his spirit, filling it with creaminess and warmth. The crowd began to murmur appreciatively, each echo of support nudging Adrian's confidence further from his grasp. "Just wait for it," Adrian said, crossing his arms. "Let us see if it actually tastes good." The challenge in Adrian's eyes rallied Alex more than it intimidated him. He refused to let doubt cloud his mission. As he plated the risotto, he took a moment to breathe, letting silence settle over him like a protective cloak. Each dish was a story, a bridge connecting his past to this present moment. He set the plate before the judges, his heart pounding, every single element a reflection of his journey, both the struggles and the triumphs. The tension in the room thickened as if everyone could feel the weight of this moment spiraling towards its conclusion. "Now," Alex said, locking eyes with Adrian, "let us see your next move." Would the culinary world recognize his talent, or would he remain forever in Adrian's shadow? The air crackled with uncertainty as the first spoonfuls were served, mouths eager to taste his story. What if they loved it? What if they didn't too? As applause began to ripple through the crowd once more, Alex held his breath, senses heightened. The moment of truth was here, but would it bring him liberation or further doubt? As the judges took their first bites, time stretched like taffy, every second weighing heavy with anticipation. All eyes were glued to the chefs, their expressions unreadable. Alex's heart raced like a runaway train, fear battling with hope. Each forkful held not just ingredients, but the memories of his grandmother, the laughter shared over kitchen counters, and the long nights dreaming of this very moment. Finally, the head judge, a renowned culinary critic with an impressive resume, chewed thoughtfully, his brow furrowing. The entire room held its collective breath. Did the flavors balance? Was there depth? Would they see Alex for who he truly was? Then, unexpectedly, he smiled, broad and genuine. "Behold, the tender notes of saffron. The creaminess floats beautifully on the tongue. And the flavors? They sing." He turned to the crowd. "This isn't just a dish. It's a story, an experience." A warm wave of applause erupted, washing over Alex like a sudden summer rain. His chest swelled, tears prickling his eyes. This was it, validation. The acceptance he had yearned for. "You've truly transcended your beginnings," said the head chef, admiration glowing in his eyes. "You are more than a former dishwasher. You are a rising star." The applause grew crescendo, enveloping him. But just as he was about to bask in that victorious moment, the unthinkable happened. Adrian, arms crossed and a smirk plastered on his face, stepped forward again. "Well, I suppose even a broken clock is right twice a day," he sneered, shaking his head. "But one good dish doesn't mean he can cook consistently." Doubt washed over the audience like a dark cloud overhead. Alex's heart dropped, the triumph slipping slightly from his grasp. But then he remembered his grandmother's voice, her unwavering support shining through every doubt. "No, Adrian," Alex said firmly, his voice cutting through the noise. "It's not just one dish. I'm here to prove that with passion and dedication, anyone can create something great, no matter where they start. I refuse to let your cynicism define my talent." The crowd erupted in cheers, their support bursting forth like fireworks. Adrian moved back, astonishment mingling with frustration. Alex could see people whispering excitedly amongst themselves, receiving his words like warmth on a cold day. Then, suddenly, from the back of the room, Max stepped forward, a determined gleam in his eye. "You know what, Adrian? It's time you recognize talent when you see it. Alex is doing what he loves, and that's what counts." That moment felt like a release of the tension that had gripped everyone. The audience clapped wildly, their faces reflecting admiration and awe. Margins of acceptance began expanding, sweeping away doubts like leaves in the wind. Alex marveled at the overwhelming support. In that instant, he understood that the journey he had taken was not just about proving others wrong, it was about embracing all facets of himself. The dishwasher, the aspiring chef, the storyteller. People began sharing their own stories, trumpeting Alex's triumphs as they rose to their feet with thunderous applause, drowning out Adrian's negativity. To Alex, this was more than a competition. This was community. This was embracing every piece of himself stitched together with the threads of resilience and love. It dawned on him that the recognition he sought was not the validation from the judges, but a celebration of the journey and the bonds forged along the way. As the evening concluded, the judges raised a glass to toast, inviting everyone to come forward. Each chef was asked to share their journey. Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging swell in his chest as he joined the ranks of others who had aligned their personal histories with their passion. "Tonight, I celebrate not just the culinary world," he began, "but every individual's story. We're all dishes created with different ingredients of our past." The cheers erupted once more, kicking up a wave of excitement. Tears glistened in Alex's eyes, each voice around him echoing support stronger than any doubt. He had conquered more than just one evening. He had reclaimed his identity. In the end, it was Adrian who received quiet chaos. He stepped back, lured by the shadows clinging to his past, missing what mattered most. As Alex turned, he realized he was stepping into a future filled with endless possibilities. With each passing moment, he felt lighter, freer. The weight of success felt not as a burden, but a gift shared with a community that had nurtured him along the way. There would be challenges ahead, but for the first time, the fear of failure didn't drown out his excitement. This was just the beginning. He took a breath. The world ahead looked vibrant and filled with life, just like the colorful plate of risotto he had created. And as laughter and voices mingled in the air, Alex knew with certainty, nobody could take away what he had built, nobody could erase the flavors of his story. Now it was time to embrace that story. To write the next chapter, becoming the chef he always dreamed of being. As the audience began to disperse, Alex sent a quick glance at Max, his old friend, who was making a beeline toward him. They exchanged excited smiles, and for the first time, there was nothing but acceptance and connection in their eyes. "Let us cook together again," Max said, his voice full of warmth. "Absolutely," Alex grinned back, filled with hope for the future. This journey was more than just one success. It was a promise, an invitation to grow, to learn, and to continue pouring love into every dish along the way. And with that thought, he stepped boldly into the next adventure, ready to embrace everything life had to serve. Now, it's time for you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.